In the next panel discussion, we'll be focusing on the SDG Blockchain Accelerator. You had a chance to hear a little bit about it from a few of our colleagues since this morning. And now I'm happy to give you a bit more of the background before we move into the discussion with our partners. So the SDG Blockchain Accelerator is a global initiative that is all about building and scaling blockchain solutions to advance sustainable development goals through connecting innovators and builders with real-world development challenges in some of our key priority areas, such as financial inclusion and digital payments, sustainable supply chains, digital identity, governance, climate finance, and beyond. The accelerator is strategically led by UNDP's Alternative Finance Lab, and it is in partnership, co-implemented in partnership with the Blockchain for Good Alliance, EMURGO Labs, Flock.io, the Stellar Development Foundation, the SUI Foundation, and it is also made possible through funding from Cardano Treasury, through Project Catalyst, alongside contributions from other partners. So what makes this accelerator so unique, right? There are accelerators in Web3 and blockchain emerging tech space, all over the world, and there are many of our partners also working on accelerators within their ecosystems. But what makes this one unique is the fact that it is connecting builder teams and startups with the real world development challenges and the local context, as well as beneficiaries on the ground that are actually living through those problems that we're mentioning and talking about. And who is better to know how to advise building a solution that is addressing a challenge than the person that is going through all of those difficulties. So we have developed a framework to actually do this in a way that is from the get-go matching those solution maker teams with the challenge owners. So through the SDG Blockchain Accelerator, this is how we came to this idea and started the journey earlier this year, building on the success of our UNDP Blockchain Academy, where we trained over 500 of our staff to know how to recognize value in applying blockchain solutions to solve some of these challenges. Since then, we have actually we had an open call where we invited our country office teams from UNDP side, but also we had participation of UNCDF and UNOPS, where we've received over 300 applications from our challenge owners to participate in the accelerator, which has proven that there is a strong need for emerging technology solutions and blockchain in particular, and that some of these challenges have not been solved before using other technologies. So why not try it, right? And then after this, we've gone through the matchmaking process through global hackathons and otherwise, and where we matched over 70 teams, so the challenge owner and solution maker teams. Solution maker teams coming from our partners' ecosystems. We'll tell you more about that. Our partners will tell you more about that very, very soon. Finally, having 13 teams just graduating last week from Cohort 1 and 37 teams in Cohort 2 currently being accelerated. That makes the total of 50. After which we selected top 10 to present tomorrow at our showcase here in Copenhagen, and we invite you all to join us. I will not go into detail of the timeline. We'll hear about that very, very soon. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome on the stage Anke, Ecosystem Growth Lead from Stellar Development Foundation, Katarina Antić, Program Manager in EMURGO Labs, Glenn Tan, Director of Global Affairs, Blockchain for Good Alliance, and Tiffany Wang, Legal Counsel, Corporate Communication Lead, Block.io. Welcome. So, thank you so much for being here with us. So, we're having these weekly team meetings online every week for several months now. So, it's very inspiring to see you in person and meet some of you in person for the first time. We don't have a lot of time, so I'd like to invite each of you to briefly introduce yourselves, about 30 seconds to a minute, and tell us what motivated you to join us on this journey.
Thank you, Mili. Thank you for this beautiful presentation, and thank you for inviting us and having us all here today. It's really an honor to be with all of you on the stage and off the stage, of course. My name is Katarina Antić. I am a program manager from EMURGO Labs. I've been in the blockchain ecosystem for the past 4 years. I'm also a PhD candidate at the University of Belgrade, and I'm researching project management and emerging technologies, so combining blockchain and AI. Okay, a bit about EMURGO Labs. So, EMURGO Labs is a venture studio specializing as a technology provider within the Web3 ecosystem, helping shifting traditional business models towards the blockchain-powered future. So we are working globally and helping innovators leverage this cutting-edge technology. And speaking of that, joining this and kicking off this initiative together with the UNDP team and all the partners felt like a pretty natural step for us. It has been not only aligned with our mission as a company, but it has been also aligned with the broader Cardano ecosystem mission, aligned and presented in the Cardano 2030 vision. So yes, that was briefly from my side.
What motivated you to join us? Very, very briefly.
Okay, so the real world challenges and finally applying blockchain technology to the real world challenges, not developing something and then working on the go-to-market strategy and finding a fit. So yeah. That is what mostly motivated us to join.
Thank you so much. Glenn?
Hey everyone, my name is Glenn, Director for Global Affairs at the Blockchain for Good Alliance. So we are the flagship initiative founded by Bybit primarily to propel and advance blockchain's use cases for social and public impact. So many of you in the room already know us. If you don't know us, I'm just glad to be here to have this opportunity to actually share what we've been doing, especially with the SDG Blockchain Accelerator. So I've been in the crypto space for a while, or rather I should say the blockchain space, since blockchain is the broader term, and I'm a founder in the space myself, so it's always nice to piece together different things and understand the needs of projects. So at the heart of BGA is really supporting projects to really scale up, be it projects that are in the ideation stage or even at the growth stage. We're here to help them to scale through all our initiatives. So what really, motivated us to join this accelerator is, I think BGA is very realistic. We are very realistic people. We are very aware that in order to have systemic change that lasts, especially in the blockchain sector, there needs to be institutional buy-in. And this is a very direct entry point that allows attention to be given to the blockchain industry in a very concrete and in a very real-world way, where people start to understand that blockchain isn't just about crypto, that the two terms are not interchangeable, and blockchain as technology has so much potential to push for social change in society, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, my name is Anke. I'm the Ecosystem Growth Lead at the Stellar Development Foundation. So SDF, we at SDF, our mission is to create equitable access to the global financial system, where access is a right, not a privilege. And we support development and growth of an open source blockchain network called Stellar since 2015. To make that possible, tech alone doesn't drive this inclusion. People and partnerships do, and so that's also why we joined this initiative with the UNDP to connect blockchain builders with development experts on the ground to actually build solutions to real world problems. And co-design these solutions for the people who need them most.
I guess I need to keep it short. Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany. I'm from Flock. So Flock stands for Further Learning on Blockchain. We're an AI technology firm, but we're also building with blockchain technology. Speaking of why Flock wanted to join this initiative, our founder is also here today. He founded this company because he was working with finance industry for many years, and there are some data security issues which cause limitations in traditional training or AI training, and he wanted to fix this issue. And the reason why we joined this initiative because we want to help we help the model training to be unbiased, and we want to, for the most important things, we want to create a better world. We want to do the right things. And me personally, I always wanted to work for United Nations, but of course I'm not. But I want to work with, right? We wanted to do something meaningful for the world, and this is why we're here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. You're the, part of the team already. So you are working with us almost, on daily basis. So consider yourself as one of the biggest contributors to impact in UNDP AltFinLab, and thank you for being here with us. Thank you to all of you. And Anke, you said something, and I fully resonate with that. That technology alone doesn't solve these problems, people and partnerships do, right? My question for you is, from your perspective, given that you've worked on other accelerator programs before, how is this approach unique compared to other accelerators or innovation programs in the Web3 ecosystem? And what kind of value did it create that might not have been possible otherwise?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, my team, the ecosystem growth team, we focus on incubating startups and developers into making something that actually scales. So most accelerators, they start with a pitch deck. This one started with a problem statement, and that shift made all the difference. Instead of chasing the next crypto unicorn, teams here are solving very real development challenges on the ground, and there's a different approach to them. It's not actually that easy to solve real world problems, as many of you in the audience might know. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of collaboration, a lot of funding, and it might not be as profitable in the short term. And so, we really need to work with local partners and with partners such as UNDP and even BGA as well to really scale what they're doing and help them get the legitimacy, help them get the type of funding and the connections that they need. For instance, we have a really good example. So one of the companies within the accelerator right now is called Decaf. They're working very closely with the local country office from UNDP in Colombia to digitize municipal payments. And they're working directly with local government as well. And it's not just faster and cheaper, but it also builds this transparency, this audit trail. And that kind of transparency can really change how the communities, but also local governments, interact around public funds.
Thank you, Anke. And since we have recently completed Cohort 1, as I just mentioned, where we had 13 teams graduating successfully, and Cohort 1 was co-implemented in very close collaboration with EMURGO Labs team and BGA as well. So I would like to ask you, Katarina, could you tell us a bit about your experience leading this process? What did the journey look like from idea to graduation, and how did working with solution makers create and country office teams, of course, created added value for both sides.
Thanks, Meli. Yes, we had a privilege, I would say, to witness the success of the Cohort 1. We have 13 out of 13 teams graduating, delivering working POCs and all the additional documentation. Maybe some of them are here and are really aware of what I'm speaking about currently. We've engaged, I would say, from the start in this initiative. And it started way before the real program kicked off. So we've launched the global open call, and that resulted with 177 solution makers applying. So we needed to have a few selection processes before the official selection process and matching exercise that we did with country offices. So our technical and product teams involved themselves into technical eligible checks and also having screening calls with solution makers. Then we shortlisted the list of the solution makers, and we did the matching with the country offices. We wanted to have the selection day and have all the selection calls within one day, but then it's somehow become a week, selection week, since we had more than 40 calls in order to have teams joining us in the Cohort 1. And yes, we aim to have 10 teams joining the Cohort 1, but after the selection week, we couldn't decide which teams to, exclude. So we made the decision to have 13 teams join the Cohort 1. And then we designed the whole program around not only solution makers, as you said, but also challenge owners, because it is really important to look at both as a team, so matched team, not only solution maker and not only helping startups, as Anke said. So after we kicked off the program, we engaged in the foundational phase with the curriculum. Our team developed the whole curriculum with different learning formats. So we had textbook style curriculum, and also we had workshops for our participants. 4 of them delivered by EMURGO Labs and 3 of them by our partners, including MLabs, No Witness Labs, and Checkpoint. We've also delivered pre-recording video materials for our solution makers to really support them from the technical standpoint in this initiative. And I would say that was the most unique part. So aside from what we've been talking, that truly technical hands-on support that we tried to provide for our teams, since we wanted to have this accelerator deliver solutions on the Cardano blockchain because of the funding aspect that you mentioned for Project Catalyst. And we had 9 teams joining as a non-Cardano teams, so we needed to support them in a way to be able to deliver working proof of concepts and actually showcase that we have a foundation for future pilots and scaling.
Thank you so much, Katarina. Yes, you're right. We have quite a lot of representatives in the audience, and I would like to invite everyone for a round of applause. We have our country office team from Malawi, Mishek representing, I see him, UNDP country office, Tanzania, Bangladesh. We have Cameroon country office, Anna as well. Of course, and the country office, North Macedonia. We heard from Emily already today, so thank you for being here with us. You are the real champions, and you'll make a difference on the ground. So and moving forward, since for Glenn and Anke and Tiffany, since you have been closely involved in the entire process of organizing the global hackathon that has matched over 50 solution makers with the challenge owners and supported a 2-week roadmap co-creation sprint that has been one of our selection mechanisms for cohort 2. Could you tell me a bit about your experience and how did this design framework and why is this design-led approach actually important for selecting impactful and scalable pilots for the cohort?
Okay, I guess I'll go first. So just to give a bit of a small premise to the entire thing, right? Just for the audience to know. So the hackathon, we call it the hackathon, but it's more like a spirit of a hackathon kind of thing, right? It's primarily really a co-creation sprint, It's not like a marriage interview, if you want to put it that way, where we actually see if, it's like a blind matchmaking. Okay, not that blind. It wasn't matchmaking between the UNDP country office together with the solution makers to see if there's a fit. So this was a little bit different from, I think, what was the mechanism behind cohort 1. It was a little bit of an added phase to it. So we're able to actually understand, before the accelerator even began, if the project as well as the UNDP country office actually had a good fit. Because there are a lot of times, products which are amazing, sometimes you are unable to find the right users. So I think that there is no other accelerator, incubator out there that really, I would say, stress tests relations between the end user as well as the product so early on. So this really gives a nice insight into ensuring that, the match is going to be good for both parties. And it's also interesting to know that design-led approaches tend to work better because I'm always a strong believer that blockchain is, a tech that is searching for a solution. And when it's blockchain, or rather when it's tech-led, the products sometimes fail. So by being, more design-led and understanding the problems of the, the country officers first in the position of the user, understanding what is exactly the problem that needs to be solved, and then looking next to find the right solution to fit that problem in this matchmaking process gives everything a higher chance of success at the end of the day. So when these projects get accelerated in our accelerator, we know that the projects are receiving the right support. We know that the UNDP country office is also receiving the right project that will ultimately solve its problems. And it's really from there that we give this little seed that allows it to grow and ultimately to scale across different regions. Because I think moving forward, right, that's also what we want to see for the entire accelerator. It's not going to be solutions that are simply just tied down to one location, right? And of course, a quick shout out to Adri in the crowd. Your solution is solving problems across 3 different country offices. So that's also something that's interesting to note, because one solution from the Europe region is actually able to solve multiple problems across the various parts of Africa, for example. So it's things like this that we want to stress test at the start, make sure that global solutions actually are able to meet the problems that are more localized in certain areas, but also have the potential to scale to different areas. So I think really coming back to the question, I think this is also why a design-led approach really gives a higher chance of success, because you want every single project to be as successful as cohort 1, definitely, to see all the projects really go through the accelerator, get really implemented, and of course have real world impact.
Yeah, really echoing what Glenn said. I really like design sprints because, when you work in the startup space, and especially in Web3, it's all about iteration speed. How fast can you iterate? How fast can you adjust to meet the new technology needs or to meet new needs that you see in the market or ecosystem? So it was really this allowed us to work quite fast, and I think maybe even faster than UNDP or UN agencies in general are used to, which was really exciting to see. But startups, that's kind of their day-to-day. But it was also really about what Glenn mentioned about fit and the fit between the country office and the project. We use a lot of acronyms, so I'll call it the PCO, project country office fit, which was like really important because like you have to have a good product that has the technology that meets the needs, and that has the time as well. But equally as important, the country office, who is, you know, the other major collaborator of the project, needs to like have well-defined challenges, know what they want to solve for, and also have time and kind of energy and efforts to do that. And so it was that first 2-week sprint really allows us to matchmake and see, all right, well, you have to make a plan to for what you're going to do in Accelerator in 2 weeks. Go at it. And it was like really exciting to see how fast we're like, oh, let's ideate. Some got faster than others, so it was really exciting to see that across different projects. But then in the end of the day, like it was pretty easy by the end of the 2 weeks to see, hey, this has promise and there's interest from both sides, and this may be less, versus that wasn't as clear in the beginning. So yeah, I really liked that kind of filtering process prior.
Thank you. I'm thinking like, what else did I not talk about, right? So for people who do not know what's happened, it's hackathon. So this hackathon is only 2 weeks, and at the beginning of the hackathon, the country office team, they produce a challenge. There's a contact the challenge, but the solution maker doesn't really know what is the real problem of the challenge, and they also do not know, like, is this part of the existing initiative? Do we have existing data to solve the problem? They do not know any of that. It's basically based on their passion and their interest. Okay, I want to help to solve this issue, and that's what they call like blind making, right? We know what kind of country office that we're going to deal with, but they do not know what country office team, like how big is the team, how are we going to work together, are we going to meet in person, or we are going to do all video chats. And so for me, I think 2 weeks is really a challenging time to arrange, but also for them it's like, in the beginning they have never met each other, they need to know each other, what do you have, and what you need, right? And there is a lot of communication and cultural communication issues. For me, this is special in this hackathon. And also back to what Glenn has mentioned, in a lot of blockchain hackathons, normally you have an issue and you have like, you pre-made the issue, like, oh, this is the problem that we want to fix, but you don't really know how impactful this issue is, right? You don't know like how your solution is going to impact the lives in real lives. But this one is so different because we literally see the country office, they present to us, okay, there are problems, but can you help us? Can you help in this way? If you cannot help us in this way, can we work on another way? This is real example. This is why this hackathon is really special for me. Yes, I think that's it. Basically, they have covered the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And I totally agree with you. And I think what also was very helpful, not only when it comes to the 2-week co-creation sprint, but the entire accelerator design, is the fact that not only the solution makers are benefiting from having access to that challenge, but the challenge owners, in many cases, have refined their challenge during that 2-week process, right? Or realized that the solution can actually address more than one problem, right? Which was very valuable from our side. So in terms of success of those pilots, are there any early success stories or insights that stood out to you from the team's progress? Maybe we can do a round starting with you, Tiffany.
Okay, yes, since I'm holding the mic. So I wouldn't say it's guaranteed to be a success because we're only 4 weeks into accelerator projects stage. But we do see, like, let's first talk about what is success. Like, what do you think will be a successful project? First of all, I think you need a strong technical team, that you need to be able to have the capacity to build the product. But at the same time, you need strong country office support as well. You need them to give you the data, give you the resources, finding local stakeholders, and all that sort of stuff. And also you need to make sure they communicate it well, so the solution can actually match with the problems. And after the match with problem, local parties can deployment. They can make a real impact, right? And then furthermore, the solution maybe can scale. Maybe it's not just a country office problem, it's a regional problems. This is what I think the successful story should be. And looking back, like, we have seven projects out of 50. And I do see there are some projects who already found, who are very, very strong technical team, and they're very, very passionate. Like, I'm not sure this have emphasized, but they all work for free. There is no award, there is no salary, right? People come to work for these projects because they want to make an impact. And where was I? Yeah, so we see, like, first of all, the technical team is really strong. And we also have country office who have hired a consultancy firm to help them produce the data, maybe because the local team doesn't really have mature data, they need help. And we also know that there are some projects, the initiative itself is part of a bigger initiative. They have local government support, so the project can scale potentially, right? This is what I see, a potential success, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear. Yeah, I mean, for us, like, I believe we had about 10 matches in the accelerator, and it's really exciting. I think, like, we'll still have to see what they build, of course. But there are a few that we already kind of can feel that have, like, also strong UNDP, you know, interest to kind of move on forward, and there's really good progress happening. Most of the startups that we participated were already building in the Stellar ecosystem for years, so, like, technical assistance was not something they need. It was really the connection. One of the most inspiring kind of collaborations that I wanted to highlight is in Haiti with the Haiti country office. There's two startups actually that we connected through this process, Cora and Boson. You know, and for those who are familiar, Haiti is it's a disaster-prone area. It's also heavily cash-based. So when, you know, a hurricane or a natural disaster happens, like, financial access can really vanish overnight, and this makes it very vulnerable. But through this program, like, the two startups, they joined forces to digitize community savings groups, microfinance institutions, and also merchants to really build financial rails that can move funds instantly, even when disaster strikes. And this is really important. It's actually something that Alex Maza from Cardano mentioned in an earlier panel. It's really about that building that resilience. And so it's, like, really important that as we build these pilots, they can not only solve the immediate problem, but it actually creates this long-term financial resilience so that actually economies can build, recover faster and build from the ground up. And I really like it because it's a special shout out. Also, thank you so much for UNDP and the team for allowing also us to push two startups for one challenge. We've been trying to get them collaborate for a really long time, but as you know, people do their own thing and they like to do their own thing. But we're like, hey, you're both in this region. This is a very difficult challenge. You're small teams, collaborate. And luckily they did. They changed their projects. They completely, like, adjusted their products to actually complement one another and build a really powerful solution. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. But tomorrow Koala Pay will also speak. I think I'll hand the mic to Glenn, so you can hear more about them tomorrow.
You're giving me an opportunity to do a little bit of a shout out for tomorrow's event, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, I'll take that opportunity. So tomorrow we have a public event. It's at another separate venue. I think that we can dive a little bit more into it. Oh, okay, so yeah, it's right there. So if you guys want to be there, literally the QR code is over there. So, I mean, adding on to what my fellow panelists have said, right, we have seen so many very impactful projects actually scaling and actually starting to grow. So it's only been 4 weeks. So, of course, we do not know which is the best project. I think all projects are winners in our own eyes, obviously, right? But I think it's also very heartening to, you know, be able to speak to these projects on a regular basis, be it in the meetings that we have with them or just one-to-one on text, just do a quick check-in. So we've seen how, you know, the different projects have, like what Tiffany said, it's actually free, at least for this stage. They're not free labor, but they're really working and putting their own resources, time to really scale up these projects to solve these problems. Because the motivation is that these are verified problems. You know, they are problems that actually exist, submitted by UNDP country office, so they know that these problems that they're working to solve is real. So it's been very heartening to be able to see that projects that, for example, one shout out is a project called, what's the name of that fundraising? So actually they are a very interesting bunch of people. So they are benefiting the UNDP office in Jordan, Petra. So they're not able to go there in person because of geographical, because of financial constraints, but they've been digging into networks and networks of networks to try to get hands-on understanding, to interview the people on the ground, to actually get some form of understanding on the actual end users on the ground, even though they're not able to physically be there. So they've been trying different means, they've been leveraging on our network and our networks to really understand and who they can talk to. And of course, we have other different projects within our ecosystem as well. One project is fighting 3 different problems in different country offices as well. So it's really tweaking and going and iterating as the accelerator goes. So I think success to us really will be a very good pilot, I would say, that comes out of this one. Something that we can say has been tried and tested in the market with such limited resources already at this stage. So the fact that it's actually free, I say that it's a very interesting dynamic as well, because this really stress tests the project to make sure that these projects are able to scale because they can scale. It's not projects that require immediate huge amounts of upfront funding that we see as a problem in the Web3 space. So many founders come up like wanting to fundraise quickly through an ICO, through a quick fundraise, and then they burn all that money, and then the product goes nowhere. But through this accelerator, another unique approach that we can push for success is actually this stress test period of this entire accelerator shows that these projects will be successful if they survive this, if they successfully pilot it on limited resources, and then they get the gratification of post-accelerator support that will definitely help them scale even further.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, both you and Anke did what I wanted, aiming to do, inviting all of the people to join us for the showcase tomorrow, because more than a half of teams will be from Cohort 1, so I need to be subjective here. And yeah, so we have really successful pilots, I would say, that would be showcased tomorrow, so it would be a shame to not use this opportunity to really hear from the solution makers and challenge owners who did the whole work and who contributed to this whole program. And while you were speaking, I also I had now an idea to combine what we've discussed, to combine for the Cohort 2 one challenge owner with 2 solution makers, because based on our experience we had cases where we combined one solution maker with different country offices, but I think that it would be an interesting opportunity also to do vice versa, or the other way around. So yeah, and what you mentioned, since we are building on the Cohort 1 success, I would say that this initial cohort or Cohort 1 really reflects the accelerator's dual commitment to the real-world implementation and open innovation, ensuring that the teams are both impact-aligned and technically equipped for endeavors in front of them. And yeah, what we are also trying to accomplish during the Cohort 2 is to have some of the participants, social makers from Cohort 1 joining Cohort 2 as a mentors, so they can provide guidance for our teams. So I think that would be another perspective of success stories for all of us. And yes, of course, seeing the pilots and impact that is in front of all of us.
Thank you so much, everyone, and you have done my job already, announcing the SDG Accelerator Showcase tomorrow, so please scan the code and register and join us to witness the presentation of all of those amazing champions that we've mentioned so far now. I completely resonate with everything that has been mentioned so far. And I think that what is also needed most moving forward, what we've already highlighted, is what our accelerator does very, very well, is connecting the technology aspect with impact, right? But moving forward and looking beyond the accelerator program and the mentoring and training part, and there's something that we forgot to mention that was very, very useful in Cohort 1, for example, is the mentoring and pitch preparation that will be very useful tomorrow, right? So this is another type of support that the teams are receiving. So looking beyond the program, what do you think is the most needed to make this initiative a long-term success and ensure that the pilots continue beyond the program and achieve sustainable impact? And what forms of support do you see as most essential after this accelerator phase?
Now starting from myself, right?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have, I would say, a couple of groups of support identified already that are needed for our teams in order to continue building on what is, if we are speaking about the cohort 1. So yeah, we are trying to help them with the post-acceleration funding aspect. We are also trying to establish regular check-ins to help teams from the technical standpoint. And we are also looking for a deeper ecosystem support, starting from, Anke mentioned, Alex Maza and Cardano Foundation, in our case, EMURGO track, EMURGO Labs track. And yeah, beyond or on top of that, of course, regular check-ins with not only solution makers but challenge owners, because they are the one also driving this whole process and providing real-world data, and also helping the solution makers potentially tailor or, you know, do something different when it comes to their solutions. So yeah, I would say those three groups are the main support that we are looking to provide to the teams.
Thank you, Katarina. And Glenn?
Right. Okay. To me, I always think that, you know, pilots or even projects, they don't take off or they die essentially without three main things. Of course, funding, governance, as well as distribution. So of course, when I talk about funding, I'm not talking about like what I mentioned earlier about, you know, like speed fundraising in the millions of dollars. No, I'm talking about bridge capital. So it's really like what Katarina was saying, right? Post-accelerator funding is going to be important in the form of, you know, just the right amount that will actually help these projects gain real-world viability in the space itself. And when I talk about also, you know, governance as well, I think that regulatory sandboxes are super important. It's something that we have not really discussed and isn't discussed as often as it should. But doing cross-border kinds of solutions between the country office as well as the solution maker could get into regulatory roadblocks. So I think that this is where, you know, like the UN and all the, you know, the partners of the UN, the government agencies will actually come in to give very strong support in ensuring that solutions are very well compliant and aligned in order to really scale properly in the country offices that they're solving the problems for. And lastly, of course, talking about distribution, I'm talking about this entire network of things that we're building together with this accelerator itself. So many different partners, by extension, networks of networks is something that I always like to talk about, because friends of my friends are friends of mine, right? That's how we've been running things in the entire ecosystem in Web3 especially. So who do you know, who, you know, it's always something nice to bridge for different projects. So the distribution channels allowing our projects to regularly plug into our partners' ecosystems, you know, sharing deals for different projects. It's also going to be super important to help them to scale, especially at the later stages. And of course, in diving down into the Blockchain for Good Alliance itself, BGA, we do have multiple initiatives. I like to always, you know, say that BGA's initiatives are always very much in synergy with each other, right? Four pillars that we like to do, right? Hackathons, incubation, the joint funds, as well as the impact forum through our BGA awards that we regularly do. So the support that we give to projects, be it, you know, projects that come in because of the hackathon achievements that they have, or projects that we've incubated, we like to give kind of cross-pillar support to each project. So for example, you know, we're looking forward to having the best projects from the SDG Blockchain Accelerator actually entering into our incubation, even if they are projects that are built on our partners' tracks. So not necessarily just we're going to just give the support to BGA track projects. You know, we are always very much, you know, blockchain agnostic as well, because we care more about real impact. So we're always on the lookout for the best projects that come into our ecosystem, and our incubation program really provides diverse forms of support, right? All the way from funding to legal compliance support, go-to-market strategies, whatever a project needs. If we have the right mentor, the right advisor in our network, we will provide such a support. So I think that this is one of the best ways that the BGA really utilizes all our resources to help scale up the projects that we have.
Yeah, echoing that. I mean, I think I really like pilots when it comes to solving these problems, because the problem space is just so large. Like you can never like solve everything all at once, and so you solve like tiny bites at a time. So like after this pilot, and hopefully like it launches, and actually there's some funding follow through, and there's actually, oh, we proved X, Y, and Z, and it's like, all right, well, let's try this on a slightly larger scale with maybe another partner, and see what happened then, and then again. And I think so like the pilot approach actually like towards like complex problems can be really, really fruitful. But obviously, like, I mean, it's not going to be profitable on the short term, right? And it takes a lot of work. So long-term success really requires continued funding, institutional buy-in, and also proof that this works at scale. But we've seen that it works, especially in the stellar ecosystem. We've been working for years with the UNHCR, scaling disbursements. Like we started in Ukraine a few years ago, like with a very small pilot set, and scaling that to several millions, so like several hundreds and thousands of households there, so that they could receive funding in a time of war and need very quickly, and that proved very useful. I mean, and also our partners in GIZ in Germany, they piloted on-chain payroll for hospital workers in northern Syria, and the small pilots, like the results were remarkable, like 100% payout success, 25% and admin fees saved, and over like $450,000 annually saved in fees, which was enough to build another hospital. And so they quickly scaled from even 30 like hospital workers very quickly to 900 within months. And so this is the kind of evidence that we need to move kind of from an interesting pilot to something that can scale and solve real world problems. So it has happened, and it is happening across various different partners here. We just need to make sure that it's also visible, and that we continue to kind of like move it forward altogether.
Thank you. In my opinion, I think the most important thing, because now we're talking about post-accelerator, right? So the project has probably already go-to-market strategy. They already have the prototype for the product. It probably already proves that it works, but we need to scale. That's called post-accelerator. So we need fundings. And like Glenn mentioned, they don't need a lot, but I mean, it takes human resources. Sometimes they have compute powers. Those things are not free, right? We need fundings. And I think another very important topic for post-accelerator will be intellectual property, right? Because now in the accelerator projects, everybody works together. You contribute one part, I contribute one part. But when it goes to post-accelerator, maybe they will have a project, maybe they will have a company together. These are complicated issues that need to be fixed. For me, I think if you want to make sure the post-accelerator projects works, everybody should be aligned and need to be honest, like, okay, what is on the table, and they need to be putting efforts all together. It's not just one part works, right? Country office need to make sure the local stakeholders still support the projects. The technical teams need to make sure the product deck doesn't have any bugs. And our partners, we reach out to all the investors that we know, and we talk to people about our projects, what are we doing, we try to find all the resources, connect with them with foundations, with other partners. Everybody makes some such contributions and do the right things. This is what I think the most important things after post-accelerator.
Thank you to all of you, and I completely agree. I would summarize this by saying, and going back to your words, Anke, that technology alone cannot solve the problems that we're talking about. We need people, partnerships, and funding. And we invite you all to reach out to us after this panel. We're looking for partners for the post-acceleration phase, but also for the upcoming accelerator cohorts next year. And it will be our pleasure to start that conversation with you and join efforts into supporting our pilots beyond the accelerator program. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tiffany, Anke, Glenn, and Katarina.